You understand, right? Divorce, it's divorce. Being with you is just boring. I was speechless and dumbfounded. I suspected infidelity. But I never dreamed I'd receive a divorce paper like this. Why? I prefer younger women to an old hag like you. That's all there is to it. Hearing this left me speechless. There was only one thing I could say. Thank you for everything. I thanked Kevin. Then, I hugged Nathan. I had a faint suspicion that Kevin was cheating. So, I was ready to discuss divorce. However, that should be discussed between us two, not in front of a child. Moreover, bringing his mistress to our home was unthinkable. My patience finally snapped. If that's how it's going to be, I'll fight this through to the end. You will be alone crying and regretting this decision in no time, Kevin. I gave Kevin a stern look. My name is Rachel Hansen. I currently work at an interior decor sales company. I have always loved interiors, and I have no major complaints about my job. In my personal life, I married Kevin when I was 31, and we were blessed with a son, Nathan. So, my life seemed to be going well. But in reality, it isn't. Because I have a significant problem. Kevin, who runs the company I work for, lacks management skills. That would be one thing, but recently, it seems he has been cheating. I wanted to build a happy family. Maybe it's better to divorce now. After 13 years of marriage, at 44, I am at a crossroads in life. Though I am considering divorce now, I never thought about it when I got married. In fact, meeting Kevin was fate, or so I thought. We met when I got a job at a bank right after high school graduation. It was during the recession. And being able to get a job with just a high school diploma was fortunate. Anyway, I was grateful to have a job and was devoted to my career. A few years into my job, Kevin first visited the bank. I have a matter to discuss about the company's account. Yes, of course. I responded as usual, in a business-like manner, without any special emotion. Yet, for some reason, Kevin praised me. Thank you for handling it so politely. Kevin thanked politely and left. An oddly neat person. That's all I thought at the time. However, a few days later, on a Sunday, I casually stopped by an interior decor store and ran into Kevin again. Oh? From the bank.
Ah.
The other day. I said reflexively. Then, Kevin looked uneasy. Did I do something wrong? No, today is purely private. I'm looking for a table for my home. Oh, I see. With that, Kevin smiled, and his expression softened. After that, Kevin became quite talkative. He discussed various store products, and that kind of sales talk usually annoys me. But at that time, I didn't mind. Perhaps because we both loved interiors. As we talked more, I found myself attracted to Kevin. Eventually, I started visiting the store on weekends, and before I knew it, I married Kevin. After getting married, I quit the bank to become a full-time housewife. Kevin's store handled expensive items, and he seemed to be doing well, so I thought. However, I soon discovered a shocking fact. A few months after we got married, Kevin asked me to visit the store. He needed help organizing the warehouse, but as soon as I entered, I gasped. What is this? What do you mean? It's just inventory. Inventory? There's so much of it. The warehouse was filled with expensive foreign interiors, piled up like mountains. Something was wrong. I hurriedly checked the store's ledgers. As expected, the store's management was a mess. Unnecessary purchasing of expensive interiors, most of which remained unsold. The store was running in the negative. I looked back through the ledgers. The losses started about 2 years ago. When asked why, it turned out that was when Kevin had taken over the store. Before that, his late grandfather managed it. In other words, Kevin lacked management skills. Realizing this, I hurriedly tried to rectify the management. I convinced Kevin to give up selling luxury interiors and brought back custom-made products. Are we handling custom-made products again? Isn't it just a time-consuming hassle with clients? Kevin frowned as if the idea was a nuisance. It takes time, but it's easier to make a profit than stocking unsold luxury interiors. But, for now, until we resolve the deficits, let's go back to the methods that used to work well. Of course, there's no guarantee it will succeed. However, we live in a small town in the countryside. Many of the residents have lived here since Kevin's grandfather's time, and they are still here. If we could win back the old customers. With that potential solution in mind, I continued to support Kevin. I was managing the store my way. In the end, despite Kevin's complaints, we managed to turn the store around. Still, it's not like we were massively profitable. We just barely escaped deficit operations. Anyway, we need to make the next move. If left to Kevin alone, his lax management would bankrupt the store in no time. It would leave our employees lost and threaten their livelihood. After much thought, I decided to utilize my experience from my banking days. From today, I'll handle the store's administration. Please leave all the back-end work to me. Huh? Then what am I supposed to do? You should focus on dealing with customers as the president. You're good at sales, so let your sales skills shine. Kevin is persuasive. So, if he focused on sales, he could produce results. This was indeed the right move. Kevin started securing contracts one after another. He also began leasing the luxury interiors stored in the warehouse. Coupled with Kevin's sales efforts, the business performance soared. We quickly regained the store's former glory. I thought this would stabilize the management. But just when I thought so, Kevin suggested something outrageous. The work has increased, so I think we should hire more staff. I agreed with that opinion. But the next moment, I was taken aback. For starters, I'm thinking of making my mom an executive. Huh? Your mother? What? Do you have a problem with that? Kevin twisted his mouth. I stuttered in response. Lately, more people have been visiting the store. And there are more requests for leases and custom-made products. So, I had always thought of increasing the number of salespeople and sales representatives. I assumed Kevin thought the same. I gently tried to object. How about we increase the number of sales or sales representatives before adding executives? But my mom wants to help out at the store. Kevin's father passed away a long time ago. Meaning, his mother was living alone. Is it because she has too much time on her hands? Or did the improved performance dazzle her with the sight of money? Either way, she's not the right person for the company. I tried everything to dissuade Kevin from hiring his mother. But right after that, it was discovered I was pregnant. Seizing the opportunity, his mother approached me. It must be tough working while pregnant. I can work instead during that period. Mother, do you have any work experience? Don't worry. I worked before I was married. That was how many years ago? I couldn't bring myself to say that. Reluctantly, I responded. I'll do my best as much as I can. But my mother-in-law wasn't amused. She started spreading rumors to relatives and neighbors. My daughter-in-law is greedy for money. She wormed her way into my son's company. She's really shameless. Indeed, money is important, but I was just trying to fix the company's deficit. I wasn't working because I wanted money. When I argued that, my mother-in-law replied. Huh? Are you belittling Kevin? No, that's not what I meant. A wife should support her husband. Don't say unnecessary things and just keep quiet. I had no choice but to be dumbfounded by such remarks. As my delivery approached, I eventually had to leave my job for childbirth. Inevitably, my mother-in-law entered the company. I had a lot I wanted to say, but I decided to stay quiet. Sometime later, I gave birth to Nathan. After several years of raising him, I returned to work. However, it was too late. The store's management had deteriorated while I was away. Of course, I did everything I could before taking a break from work. So, the sales were not bad. The problem was the financial statements. Despite robust sales, the financial statements were terrible. The reason was none other than Kevin and my mother-in-law. They had been excessively spending the company's expenses. It wasn't embezzlement, but their spending was quite dubious. When I suggested tightening up, my mother-in-law immediately started complaining. Such impudence for just a daughter-in-law. The store is a business. Being a daughter-in-law has nothing to do with it.
Ah.
Right. Then, I'll say it. A regular employee shouldn't talk back to an executive. I closed my mouth at her words. I am treated as a director in name only. So, I'm not a regular employee. I looked at Kevin, hoping he would say something. Why are you so flustered? Aren't you tired from parenting? Yes, because you don't help. I meant it as a sharp retort. But it seemed to irritate Kevin. He raised his voice in annoyance. What's with that tone? If it's so hard, just quit your job. That's. If I quit the company now, it would surely go bankrupt. I must avoid that for Nathan's sake. As I remained silent, Kevin laughed triumphantly. Then, smirking, he said, "If you don't like it, just shut up and do as I say." Understood. To protect the company, I had no choice but to continue working. I decided to silently follow Kevin and the others. Meanwhile, Nathan started elementary school. By that time, he became less dependent. Thanks to that, I could focus on my work. However, the company's management didn't improve. Of course, the reason was Kevin and my mother-in-law's wasteful spending. I also started to worry about Kevin neglecting Nathan. He didn't show up for Nathan's parents-teacher interview or any other school events. Moreover, there were times he didn't even come home. This might be infidelity. Problems are piling up. I had many such thoughts. But confronting Kevin wouldn't reveal the truth. You know about the redevelopment near the station, right? I'm just working hard thinking about opening a new store there. And that's why you can't come home? Isn't that strange? It's not strange. I'm just that busy. That was all he would say to dodge the issue. Then, one day, when I came home from work, Nathan said, "For my birthday next week, I'd like a soccer ball." Right, you join the soccer club. I'll make sure to tell your father. Will Dad go shopping with me? Nathan looked anxious. I reflexively stroked his head. Don't worry. I'll make sure he finds the time. Okay. I don't think his anxiety was completely relieved. But that was all I could do. After that, at home and work, I repeatedly mentioned Nathan's birthday to Kevin. Got it. You're being persistent. Since you usually do nothing, at least take the day off for his birthday. It's a must.
Yeah.
A trace of unease remained. However, I had no choice but to trust Kevin at that moment. Holding that uneasiness, Nathan's birthday came around. I took the day off and was preparing a feast for Nathan when I noticed Kevin was about to leave. Could he be going to work? I asked, and Kevin only replied that there was a surprise. What, had he really thought about Nathan? Relieved, I sent Kevin off. Soon, preparations for celebrating Nathan's birthday were done. That's when Kevin returned. I'm home. I heard Kevin's cheerful voice. What kind of surprise was he planning? Excitedly, I waited for Kevin to enter the living room. Sorry to keep you waiting. Here's the surprise. What Kevin presented was the woman next to him. A young woman with bold makeup holding a large paper bag. I recognized her. Happy birthday, Nathan. A present from your future mom. The woman handed the paper bag to Nathan. Nathan looked a bit perplexed. I understood his feelings. I too felt something off in her words. Future mom. What do you mean, Anna Baker? I addressed the woman before me, Anna Baker. Meanwhile, Anna tilted her head. What? I mean it just as I said. Her exaggerated gesture irked me. But then, Kevin intervened. What, you still don't get it? What do you mean? Can you explain? I mean, Anna will remarry me and become Nathan's mom. That's what I'm saying. Bang. Kevin slammed the divorce papers on the table. Then, he casually showed the marriage registration form in his chest pocket. You get it, right? Divorce, it's divorce. Being with you is just boring. Speechless and dumbfounded, I was suspecting infidelity. But I never dreamed I'd receive a divorce paper like this. Why? I prefer younger women to an old hag like you. That's all there is to it. Hearing this left me speechless. There was only one thing I could say. Thank you for everything. I thanked Kevin. Then, I hugged Nathan. I had a faint suspicion that Kevin was cheating. So, I was ready to discuss divorce. However, that should be discussed between us two, not in front of a child. Moreover, bringing his mistress to our home was unthinkable. My patience finally snapped. If that's how it's going to be, I'll fight this through to the end. You will be alone crying and regretting this decision in no time, Kevin. I gave Kevin a stern look. At the same time, I noticed Anna. Then, Anna started smirking and spoke. What's with that look? Scary. Help me, Kevin. Oh, are you okay? Sorry about the old hag of an ex-wife. Kevin made a comforting gesture towards Anna. His exaggerated actions infuriated me even more. However, my top priority now was to comfort Nathan. Nathan. Are you okay?
Oh. Yeah.
Shall we go to Grandpa's place? For now, I decided to take Nathan to my father's house. We would discuss everything later. I'll contact you once I've filed for divorce. We'll talk about the alimony after that, okay? I said as I took Nathan to his room. While calming him down, I packed his clothes in a bag. I'm sorry, Nathan, that it has come to this. I won't hand Nathan over to such a woman. As I thought this, Nathan said something unexpected. I don't like Dad anyway. But, are you okay, Mom? Nathan looked worriedly into my face. It was clear Nathan was also shocked. However, his shock wasn't about our divorce. I later learned that he was shocked to hear Anna would become his mother. But at that moment, all I could think about was leaving the house with only the essentials. We immediately left the house and headed to my parents' home. My parents listened to the situation and kindly took us in. I left Nathan with my parents and went to the city hall. There, I signed and submitted the divorce papers. Remember this, Kevin. You will pay for hurting Nathan. I then headed to work. It was a holiday, but the shop was open. Of course, holidays are the busiest times. I greeted the employees in the shop and entered the office. My mother-in-law was there. With several employees around, I handed her my resignation letter. What is this? It's my resignation letter. The office buzzed as I spoke. Meanwhile, my mother-in-law coolly retorted. Kevin just left with a young girl. Did it turn into a divorce discussion? Yes. I've filed the divorce papers. Oh, good. Now we'll be rid of a nagging daughter-in-law. My mother-in-law snorted. I stared at her and spoke my piece. Well, this means we are no longer related. Make sure Kevin understands that. Fine by me. We won't have any problems without you. Her words irritated me. However, I was about to leave the office without responding, when I noticed the employees trembling. Wondering why, I saw Kevin enter. Mom. I'm getting divorced and remarried. Kevin announced this to his mother as he entered. Then he noticed I was there. What? What are you doing here, Rachel? I just came to submit my resignation.
Oh.
That's right. This clears everything up. Kevin grinned. Anna was also behind him. I glanced at Anna briefly before informing Kevin. Well, repaying the loans will be tough, but I hope you all manage. Loans? What are you talking about? Kevin looked confused. I sighed and answered. The company's loans. In other words, the debt. Make sure you pay it back. Huh? Was there such a thing? Kevin looked at an employee nearby. The employee nodded slightly. Yes, there is. Don't you know, Mr. President? You were supposed to handle all that administrative stuff, isn't that what you said? Oh, that's right. Well, I'll make sure to explain everything before I leave. I walked to my desk. I started up the computer and showed him a particular file. This is a list of the company's loans, including operating capital and equipment investment expenses. There are many. Kevin was shocked as he looked over the list. Then, he raised his voice at me. What is this amount? Why have we taken out so many loans? We had no choice because you and your mother kept wasting money. No matter what I said, the two of them wouldn't stop squandering the company's expenses. I realized that if this continued, it would strain our management. So, I temporarily took out loans. Afterwards, I managed to reduce expenses subtly and started paying off the loans with the profits. Over several years, I improved what had been terrible financial results. But that ends today. From tomorrow, Kevin and his team will have to manage on their own. Moreover, now that I'm leaving, I had to deliver one more piece of terrible news. About that loan, the repayment is due by the end of this month. What? Why do we have to repay it all at once? That's the agreement. If I quit, the loan must be repaid immediately. When I took out the loans, I consulted with the bank. However, our financial results were not very good. They said we could have a small amount of financing because our sales were strong. But a larger loan was impossible. So, I thought about it. Should we manage with a small loan? Or should I devise a long-term repayment plan? In the end, I chose the latter. And relying on my own connections, I managed to secure the loans for the company. In other words, the lender trusted me to provide the loans. Therefore, if I were no longer there, the repayment could not be guaranteed. So I arranged for the loan to be repaid immediately if I left. What? That's ridiculous. It was the only way because the waste of expenses wasn't decreasing. I looked alternately at Kevin and my ex-mother-in-law. Both of them averted their gaze. There's no grace period for the loan, so if they demand repayment, you'll have to pay it back immediately. What are we supposed to do? We've been pouring funds into the redevelopment project at the train station. I don't know. If you want to avoid bankruptcy, you'll have to make the repayment. What the? Kevin slumped down. Glancing at my ex-mother-in-law, she was panicking. Seeing their amusing distress, I continued tauntingly. Well, make sure to repay it before they start interfering with the management. What? Interfere with management? If you don't repay the loan, that might happen. Like changing the president, that sort of thing. I smirked ostentatiously. Then, Kevin started trembling. Leaving them to their fates, I exited the office. Anna was standing at the entrance, watching me. I returned her gaze with a smile. As we passed each other, Anna muttered, "Remember this, you wicked woman. That should be you, the one who cheated." I thought so but did not say it aloud. Regardless, there was no turning back now. Let them fall into financial trouble. That was my thought, but it did not turn out that way. Apparently, Kevin managed to secure funds from somewhere. The lender informed me that the loan had been fully repaid. Well then, until the next move. I muttered to myself and plotted my next act of revenge. A few days later, I went to Kevin's house to pick up my belongings. Unexpectedly, he was waiting for me. Of course, even though I had belongings there, I couldn't enter the house without permission since we were divorced. I had contacted him in advance, knowing I would be under supervision. But something seemed off. Because he was waiting outside the entrance. Why are you waiting outside? There's something I want to ask you. What do you want to ask? As I responded, Kevin seemed unusually irritated as he continued. Ever since you left, our clients have been dropping like flies. It seems that since I left the company, lease contracts have been terminated one after another. Also, the number of customers requesting custom-made items has decreased. And contracts that were being negotiated have been cancelled. Oh really? Isn't that your fault? It goes without saying, I knew the reason. But I did not want to just tell him the reason. So, I made a snide comment. Then, Kevin suddenly became angry. Don't play dumb. It's your doing. On what basis are you saying that? Our employees said so. Most of our current customers are your acquaintances. Indeed, the employees knew the company's situation better than President Kevin. In fact, many of our current clients were my acquaintances. More specifically, many were introduced to me as clients by my uncle on my mother's side, who is in business. In essence, the contracts were not so much secured through my connections as through my uncle's. Naturally, with me gone, these relationships were virtually non-existent. Obviously, if the company was conducting good business, clients would continue their association. However, Kevin lacks management skills and has the tendency to bring personal issues into business. Like making his mother an executive. It's understandable to feel uncertain about the company's future. That's probably why the contracts are being cancelled one after another. That's unfortunate, isn't it? Don't joke around. Are you the one causing trouble? Sorry, but I just quit the company. The contracts were cancelled because of incompetence, not because of me. At my words, Kevin was at a loss for words. He looked at me with frustration, so I continued. The fact that you are blaming me shows you are incompetent. All of this is the result of the seeds you sowed, right? That's not true. Yes, it is true. You are the manager of the company. You cheated. And you left me. How much had I supported him? Maybe now he'd understand a bit. But even if he does understand now, what's lost will never return. With a snort, I saw Kevin tearfully biting his lip. I slipped past him and entered the house. Then, I packed up mine and Nathan's belongings. Just as I finished contacting the moving company, Kevin muttered softly. Fine. I'll make a comeback with the redevelopment project at the train station. Don't come crying to me when I'm successful again. With that, Kevin pushed me out of the house and sharply closed the front door. Silly man. As if I'd give him a chance to turn things around. If it's going to be a fight, I'll go all out. I will never forgive Kevin and his actions. They have done enough to deserve this. I will push them to the edge. With those thoughts, I turned my back on Kevin's house. But what exactly is Kevin planning to do to revive the company? Knowing his plan would help in coming up with my scheme. If it's come to this, I'll use my last resort. I made a phone call. Then, a few weeks later, I was visiting a local company with my new boss. Many things had happened around me during these weeks. First, I demanded compensation from Kevin and Anna. Kevin complained but agreed to pay the amount I demanded. Of course, a lump sum payment was difficult. So, he promised to pay in several installments. Meanwhile, Anna refused to pay compensation. But when I mentioned taking it to court, her attitude changed. Apparently, Anna's father, who was troubled by the prospect of a lawsuit, decided it was best to pay. Upon further investigation, I discovered Anna's father was a real estate agent. He didn't want to be seen having problems as he is part of the redevelopment project at the train station. The redevelopment project at the station is quite significant among public constructions. It was too lucrative to ignore. Eventually, Anna's father settled by paying the compensation. I'll pay the compensation, so accept my remarriage to Kevin. Anna said that to me, but it was none of my concern. Do whatever you like, I told her, and she laughed triumphantly. Thus, with the end to all the divorce issues, I embraced a fresh start with a new job. My first assignment was the office visit today. But unexpectedly, I ran into someone there. What? Why is Rachel here? Gah. Kevin? I ran into Kevin at the reception of the visit. Anna was there too. I averted my eyes. But it was too late after we had seen each other. Kevin approached me aggressively, staring intently. What, you still want to cause trouble? That's. I wouldn't say I was not intending to interfere. But bumping into him was unexpected. This could cause trouble for the place we were visiting. And for my boss accompanying me. What should I do? I was perplexed. Meanwhile, Kevin started complaining. Basically, what is a woman like you doing here? I'm here for work. I hesitated. But Kevin wouldn't even let that pass. Work? This is a real estate company that will manage the building being developed at the train station. I know that. And it's a major player in the real estate industry. There's no point in you coming here. Kevin laughed. Anna laughed along with him. The same could be said for you. You're out of place here. Out of place. Our company is the biggest interior leasing company in this area. The new building would house a hotel and shopping facilities. Naturally, a lot of interior design would be necessary. Kevin's company was about the only one that could handle it. Anna spoke arrogantly. That might have been true in the past. But now, as I pondered, my boss intervened. Hello. You must be her ex-husband. I haven't had the chance to greet you since I couldn't attend her wedding. Huh? Who are you? I'm her boss, John. Well, I'm also her uncle. As my uncle said that, Kevin's expression changed. Staring intently at my uncle's face, Kevin murmured. Could it be? John, are you from that famous interior company? Yes, we do interior designing work, including leasing and custom designs. In fact, my uncle's business is in interior designing. This includes painting and plastering as part of the interior work, as well as wall covering. Additionally, my uncle's company also undertakes furniture making. Furniture making involves making built-in furniture. Because of this, there are furniture craftsmen employed at my uncle's company. Of course, they also know many general furniture craftsmen to select furniture that matches the interiors. So, my uncle's company handles domestic interiors as well. So, does that mean our goals are the same? Kevin asks timidly. I smile wryly and nod. In a broad sense, yes. But, we've also started taking on interior construction projects. Wait a minute. John's company isn't even. I understand what Kevin wants to say. Actually, my uncle's company isn't local. It's not in our rural area, but right in the middle of the city. That alone makes taking on this job seem unnatural. Kevin probably wanted to say just that. But there is a reason for it. Actually, my dear niece got divorced and came to me wanting to get revenge on her ex. At my uncle's words, Kevin turns pale. Amidst this, my uncle continues. We were planning to open a branch much earlier. But since my niece became a rival to her husband's company. In essence, my uncle's company overlaps with Kevin's company in some areas of business. Of course, only in terms of handling furniture. Otherwise, they are completely different industries. But that overlap was worrying. My uncle's company is fairly well known. Meanwhile, Kevin's company is only known locally. If my uncle were to establish a branch, there could be a risk of losing clients. I thought about this. So I made a proposal to my uncle. Instead of my uncle's company, let's have Kevin's company supply the furniture. Essentially, I got it treated as a local company connected to my uncle's company. Naturally, because of my uncle's company's reputation, it was easy to secure contracts initially. That's how I managed to boost Kevin's company's credibility and recover its performance. We also held off on my uncle's company expanding further. In doing so, I was protecting Kevin's company. But with Kevin's cheating and our divorce, I no longer had a reason to protect Kevin's company. So, I had my uncle move into the local area, and I got a job with my uncle's company. Of course, since the industries are different, it's uncertain whether this will affect Kevin's company. Still, I could disrupt Kevin's plans for a turnaround with the redevelopment project. That's what I thought, but the impact seems to have been more significant than expected. Hearing the situation from me, Kevin collapsed on the spot. Moreover, he even started crying right there. It's no use. It's all over. Embarrassed by the scene, I quickly left the place with my uncle. Afterward, Kevin's company, betting on the redevelopment project, went bankrupt in no time. Apparently, trying to cash in on the redevelopment project. He had been throwing money around everywhere. Moreover, it seems he was moving money under the table, even paying people who had no authority. All of that became wasted, and the inability to recover funds led to bankruptcy. It also emerged that Kevin borrowed from various places to repay the company's loans. Since this was purely personal debt, Kevin is now facing demands for significant repayments. Interestingly, Kevin has started working as a construction worker at the redevelopment site to repay his debts. His mother is working alongside him, and they plan to support each other in paying off the debts. However, Anna, who remarried Kevin, feels deceived and is in conflict with him. She has already started preparing for divorce mediation. So it seems Anna has no intention to support Kevin. By the way, Anna is being asked by her father to repay the compensation I received. Thus, Anna's situation also seems precarious. In the end, it seems everyone has fallen to rock bottom. Contrary to the misery of Kevin and others, I am leading a happy life. I am doing well in my job at my uncle's company, and Nathan seems to be doing better. Suddenly curious, I asked Nathan as he was getting ready for school. Nathan, aren't you shocked about your father? Why all of a sudden? Are you planning to remarry? Not really. But if he's not shocked or sad, that's fine. Because now, Nathan is everything to me. I will do my best for Nathan. With that thought, I left the house with Nathan.